the lower part of the barn.
Welcome to the East Bridgewater School Committee meeting of August 26, 2019. At this time, I would make a motion to go into executive session. And I move that the school committee meet in executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the following purposes. Purpose 2, to conduct a collective bargaining session with the East Bridgewater Education Association, specifically to hear 2 Level 3 grievances regarding the non-renewal of 2 non-PTS educators, and purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, specifically to deliberate regarding a response to 2 Level 3 grievances regarding the non-renewal of 2 non-PTS educators, because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. And at this time, I'll take a roll call vote.
Malta, aye.
Ruda, aye.
Pennington, aye.
Could we have the motion first, please, and then take a roll call?
Oh, I did. I said I moved that the school committee.
Don't we have to have a second?
Second, you didn't do it, take a second.
Oh,
Second,
second by Teresa Maltz. And
Thank you.
want to start that over the voting to make it
I
official?
got the voting. Well, actually, you're right. Let's go do that again.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Malta, aye.
Ruda, aye.
Pennington, aye.
Thank you.
And it is unanimous. And we'll be going into executive session. Let's see. The school committee will now meet in executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, for the following purposes. Purpose 2, to conduct a collective bargaining session with the East Bridgewater Education Association, specifically to hear 2 Level 3 grievances regarding the non-renewal of 2 non-PTS educators, and purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, specifically to deliberate regarding a response to 2 Level 3 grievances regarding the non-renewal of 2 non-PTS educators, because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will be reconvening in open session this evening. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Oh, you don't have your gavel.
Welcome to the East Bridgewater School Committee meeting of August 26, 2019. Welcome back. We just came back from our executive session. And I would like to thank EB Cam for doing a great job for televising and recording our meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Ann and Russ and whoever else is behind the scenes. I hope everyone had a great summer. And at this time, would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a great summer. At this time, I would like to take a moment of silence for Margaret Alexander, who was a longtime, lifelong resident of East Bridgewater and who worked in the district for a great number of years. Thank you. And I just want to give this to.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent to introduce her guests.
Well, they're really not guests. Part of our,
At our
I
meeting
guess they're
there.
guests at the meeting, but they are our personnel. I asked the high school principal, Jeff Sylvia, and his assistant, Matt Bosch, to come this evening because we haven't seen them a lot. We've introduced Jeff in June, haven't seen Matt yet, but I did ask both of them to come. We opened up schools today, I'll talk about that in a minute, but I did ask them to come and just give a brief, just to say hello to everybody and just to give a brief, quick summary of where they are with the schedule and where they are on the opening of schools and what some of the things that they have planned coming up. Matt, you can just bring a chair up next to Jeff, please.
Thank you very
This is
much.
Jeff Sylvia, building principal, and his assistant, Matt Bosch.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Exciting day, opening day today for staff. Mr. Bosch and I both had our first staff meeting. We thought it went extremely well. We talked about our vision, which is a vision of support for both staff and students. We talked about some of our standards and expectations we expected to see on a daily basis from our staff. We discussed the schedule a little bit, which we will continue tomorrow with our staff, just to let every school committee know, superintendent, assistant superintendent know that every student has been given a full schedule. So the students will be in classes the first day of school, which is Wednesday. They have an opportunity to talk to guidance. Guidance has been working diligently with our families and our students, fill in any type of miscommunications, any mistakes, any doubled up mistakes. So we are going to continue working through that. However, we feel very positive that the students are going to be satisfied with the operations of the first couple of days. We modified the schedule. We're going to meet our power block, which is known as our Viking block. We're going to have the students go right to that to start the day, which is going to meet every day. Normally it meets right in the middle of the day. And they're going to get their administrative stuff, the paperwork, things like that they need to do. But we're going to really just have the teachers, we explained our expectations today that we just really want to take it slow the first couple of days this week with students. It's just so they know where they're going, get their routes down of classes, and we think it's going to be a positive, including staff, because I think staff needs to get used to the schedule as well, the bell schedule. And then we come back after a nice long weekend, and we're going to be fully into our schedule. So staff we've spoken to in the last couple of days have mentioned they're excited about the opportunities that the schedule presents itself with student engagement, a lot of different options that they can do with the kids during a block period that we have. So we are excited It's new for us as well, but we think it gives us a lot of great opportunities for student achievement and to personalize their learning on a day-to-day basis.
Matt, you have some ideas on changing behavior, positive reinforcements, and doing some things? Talk a little bit about,
I think overall, when it comes to behavior, and you have to have clear expectations, clear standards, and you gotta communicate those to not only students, but staff as well, because, a few people in the building cannot keep a positive culture when it comes to behavior for an entire building. So it takes the entire staff being on the same page, and we did spend some time today with faculty explain the standards, the expectations of behavior with kids in the school. And got a lot of positive feedback from teachers today that it was clearly communicated. And I think when you get everybody working on the same page, when it comes to student behavior, student discipline, I think it goes a long way with helping the kids. And we plan on being just as clear with communication with kids as well. When they start on Wednesday, we'll have a series of meetings in the auditorium with each grade, keep the audience nice and small, to be able to communicate those expectations. So.
Can I ask a question? Sure. So, in both of your case, now that you're a new team and new to this school, if we turn the clock ahead to the end of this current school year, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I'm just curious, if it's been a successful year, how would you ascertain that it was success? What are you shooting for this first year?
I think Matt and I have spent a lot of time this summer talking about that, and our vision of success is really about the kids and the staff feeling supported, and we're really just gonna be visible and support our community, our families, our students, our staff on a day-to-day basis. We're gonna be visible. We're gonna be in classrooms. We are going to have conversations when they need to be had. We're gonna be consistent, and we're gonna be fair. So I think that, in our sense, is our goal to achieve success this year.
Great, thank you.
I think growth as well, not every student and staff member. I mean, we all are lifelong learners, not just students, but staff as well. So I think not everybody starts off at the same place. So I think growth from where they start at the beginning of the year and, on Wednesday to the end of the year, and to assess how far the kids and the staff have come in the given year, I think that will be a big indicator of a successful year. So.
And when you use the term growth, are you looking at full growth, not
The
just
whole
academic growth?
whole person,
The whole student, that's what we're looking at. We're not just looking at an academic sense or a social sense. We're looking at the whole student.
Yeah. A specific example, we talked about cell phones today with kids. What kind of rules do you enforce with cell phones and everything? And we talked more about cell phone responsibility rather than zero tolerance, away for the day. Well, that's not realistic. Adults are checking their cell phones all the time. So it's more about teaching cell phone responsibility to the kids and expectations rather than zero tolerance, because that's not reality in the world we live in. So growth of the whole person.
You guys are a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
I have to say.
Thank you.
Just seeing you walk in the room, the professionalism, the attitude that people focus is just really, really nice to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, give your elevator speech for 30 seconds about tomorrow night and what we expect to see.
Tomorrow night, our 7th grade orientation, we are bringing in a speaker from the district attorney's office to talk about social media awareness and some of the hidden shadows that issues that social media can bring, especially with the bullying issue. So we reached out to the district attorney's office, and they have a great program. It's about a 45-minute speech. And then we're really going to just get the 7th grade and their families in here to see the school and go see their classrooms and get their lockers and have an opportunity. We have about 12 to 15 volunteers, high school volunteers, to help us out in that aspect. So, for the 7th graders to hear it from 11th and 12th grader is going to be a great thing. We feel like that's really going to make connections for them. And so, hopefully it'll be a good night. It'll be a couple hours, and they'll get to see the school, and then we start right back up here at 7 o'clock on Wednesday morning.
Great.
It was a pleasant surprise. Thursday, we went and asked some kids can we get any volunteers for Tuesday night from 5:30 to about 8, to help out with the 7th graders? And I'm thinking night before the first day of school. If I'm a junior and senior, the last thing I want to do is being in school, my last day of summer vacation. And we had a ton of kids volunteer. So that was a nice, pleasant surprise. I wasn't sure how many we were going to get, but kids were very willing to help out on Tuesday night, so that was
If
really.
you got more kids tomorrow, Matt, would you accept them, and Jeff?
100%.
Oh, yeah,
Some kids show up?
Yeah,
The more the merrier.
yep, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
appreciate it.
Next up, we have the first reading of the recommended changes to school committee policy, file JLCD, administering medicines to students. This policy is, Gordon, Trista, and myself met with the nurse a few times, and this policy was modified, and also, so what the nurse did, it was Amy Barron, I don't know,
Berenger,
what is it?
is it Berenger?
Barondret. So she ended up making sure that the school district were able to obtain the certification in order to administer the medication to students by someone other than the nurse. So we are certified, and it's just doing housekeeping with this policy, because it's Mass General Law that we could designate the nurse that, under the nurse's supervision, that she could designate someone else other than a nursing staff in order to dispense medication.
However, the medication isn't, for example, a Tylenol. If it's something that has to be diagnosed by a nurse, it would just be more of a maintenance med, because the nurses are, for the example she gave, if she has 6 kids that all need, a certain administration at 11 o'clock, and schedule-wise she can't meet that, they can designate a certain other staff member, but it's a very specific criteria that she would be designating. So it wouldn't just be a random person, and it would be a designated same person.
Right.
It's a very strict policy.
And that, is this, and I'm just curious, is this allowing kids to keep their inhaler and EpiPens? Is that new?
They didn't change anything with the EpiPens.
The storage of medications is still the same.
It's really, I think from my point of view, it's to help the district be able to go on field trips, to be able to help the district have more people administer.
No, I think it's wonderful. I was,
If need be, because you're always looking for a nurse to go on a field trip. If we don't have one, they can't go on the field trip. If we can designate a teacher who's going to make sure that medications are dispensed, then
I just always left the inhaler at the nurse's office. I didn't know that.
If any kind of assessment is necessary, then only the nurse can give it.
I'll make, I don't know, what,
Well,
are we doing it now or at the end?
Wait and do it in the action items section. And next up, we have Superintendent Legault's Community Corner.
So we started today with a convocation of our faculty and staff, custodials, maintenance, our food staff. We had this morning, myself I addressed the faculty and staff about the whole child and success for all. That it's time for us to start, not from my perspective, that test scores are important and assessing a child is important, and we look at data all the time, but we need to really look at soft skills, and we need to look at empathy and not sympathy for children, that they can get it done, and we're going to help them get it done, and we're going to support them all the way through. So that was our message to the district this morning. I think it was received very well. Dr. Williams is going to discuss, our guest speaker today was Katie Novak, who's written a book on universal design of learning. She was terrific, and I think that we both the district and Katie Novak has really honed in on what these types of skills are. Dr. Williams also did a few other things as icebreakers this morning, which were great, and I'm going to let her discuss that when we get to her corner. We also had our luncheon outside. The DPW, the fire, the police chiefs, the fire chief, Dave Sheedy, one of the selectmen, came down. The office of the town administrator was there. The offices of the town were there. We invited the town again. They all came down. We had like the Italian feast out and back again, with Italian sausages. We also had hamburger and hot dogs and plenty of salads and cakes, and you've got some of those good brownies over there that we stole and left over because I think they were all gone by the time. I know that we went through 245 sausage sandwiches, over 150 hot dogs, and over 125 cheeseburgers. So, to say the least, we had a lot of people there. We're growing as a community together, not apart. We're not parallel. Our SROs were at the convocation this morning, both Talitha Connors and Cecilia Cacciatore, and I know that Talitha is meeting with Mr. Sylvia tomorrow, just about some things about where kids can park, how parents need to pull in, make sure they're on the right side of the building and not dropping off where the buses are. So we're coming together as a town and as a school community, which is so invigorating as the lead learner of the district. And to see the change in culture that I'm seeing is exciting. To know that as I begin my 5th year here in the district with the same partner that I started with, and we're starting to see some of the fruits of the labor that we've brought to the district and that we've created with the district and the additions of our other partner at the end of the table, that we're really continuing to support not only financially, but we're also doing it with the social emotional learning aspect, along with the academic and instructional aspect, along with the human resource part of it and personnel issues. So I'm very proud of the community today. I'm proud of our teachers today. We had 295 people in our personnel roster now. We're growing. And we also spent over $250,000 on curriculum and instructional materials this year. We got grants to help us do that. Safety grants. We worked with the East Bridgewater Police Department and Chief Allen. John did a great job on writing the grants with the chief and working with the technology department, Andrew Lamacchia, Josh Kavanaugh, Marianne Tavares, putting up numerous cameras, working on the fob system at the Mitchell School, the new walkie-talkie system, the new communication system that is at the Mitchell School, the state-of-the-art firewalls that have been perfected and put into the district so no one can come in and get our students' information, which other districts have gone through. We are really doing some great things and moving in the right direction. Everybody's working together, and it's really nice to see. The boiler project is behind. We had issues getting some of the steel products and the fabricating materials to get here, and then they were stuck on a truck, I believe, in Canada, and then we couldn't get those, and then so they went to a different material or a different size, and they tried something different. I met with the president of Wilkinson Architectural and Engineering Firm on Friday of last week, along with Brian Kiley, the project manager, and the clerk of the works, I guess he's called. We all sat in a room, and I said, we're going to start school on Wednesday. They certainly understood that. If you've gone past the central school today, all of their equipment has been moved. It's moved to the side of the building, and they were helping clean today. We've put an extra lock on the doors.
They were there over the weekend. I drove
Yes.
by.
Yes, they are. They know. They're going to be done. Right now, we have a new due date of October 15th. They're going to have to bring in they call it a boom, which is a huge crane that's going to pick up this chimney silo type of thing that goes down the chimney. And it's a stack that will release the gases from the furnace. And they're going to have to go up 200 feet to get this in and to drop it down because it all has to be welded together. So it is quite a project, and we're getting there. I just want to let everybody know that all of the men and/or women in the personnel that will be working at the central school will be quarried once again before Wednesday. They also have been told that during the hours of drop-off and pickup at the central school, that there should be no workers around our students or our parents at that time. We've also asked them to put a lock on the outdoor porta-john that they use. We've asked them not to discuss or not to talk or to look in any direction of our parents or children at any times. It's just less aggravation truthfully for us. I can tell you, at Harvard College, they do not allow any of their workers to talk to students or people on campus at any time, or to even gaze in a direction. So we understand what the world we live in. They were great people the other day. I don't expect any issues, but I just want parents to know, especially those that will be the first time dropping off a 3-year-old at preschool or a 5-year-old at kindergarten for the first time being away from their parents, that there will be workers on campus. But we have been assured, we are taking every precaution at this time to quarry once again to make sure that we are fine. Kate Byrne and I have discussed this several times over the last couple of weeks. I can tell you this, that to have the president come out on a Friday morning at 8 a.m., he feels it is important. I felt it was important for me to be at that meeting. So he's taking this very serious. He has children of his own, a 3-year-old, I believe he said a 3, a 5, and an 8-year-old. He understands the seriousness of this, having people on the campus. So that's on the boiler project. We had a few appeals on the bus routes for transportation. Joanne Benner and John Shea and Lucini's have worked every day for probably the last month on a few appeals. They've done a great job. We've tried to get to every parent. We've tried to alleviate some situations. We can't go to every house and we can't go down every cul-de-sac, but we do the best that we can. We don't ask any student or any parent to stand out on 106 or any busy street. We'll do the best that we can. I want to thank Chief Allen for going out to a couple of families' homes to assure them that the police and the district take safety first and foremost, and that the bus will arrive. And the bus, if we all know buses, we know we need to stop because we know they're picking up kids. So we all need to take a few extra minutes on Wednesday and Thursday and the rest of the school year for the next 185 days. Take a few extra minutes every morning before you get out on the roads.
And kudos to the police department because they've been enforcing, I know, at least on, Plymouth Street?
Mhm.
They've been enforcing the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit like the last 2 weeks.
And I think it's important that the schools will be starting again at Central School. When you exit, you're taking a right. And it is not to slow you down, it's not to inconvenience you, it's to keep traffic moving, and it's to keep a safety. It's for safety. Also, the chief wanted me to make sure that, just to remind everybody that they are building their new garage that's in between the central school and the police station and town hall, and that little small access road that goes in between has been shut off, and it will continue to be shut off until that building is done, and we reduce some of that, I believe, some of that pavement in there. We did not get the grant, or have not received the grant yet, that we did apply for with Michelle Dubois and Representative Sullivan to open up the pavement, or open up the driveway at Central School. I'm hoping that we still see that. It was late to get the governor's budget this year, so I'm waiting to hear from them to see if we're still gonna get the grant that we asked for, so that we could build and put pavement in there and open up that grassy area in the front, because there is no access lane for safety vehicles to come in and out. Go Buckets. Last year, as you remember, we trained everybody in Alice. We trained everybody in safety for all the kids. What do we do if the big bad wolf comes to Central School? What do we do if an intruder goes to the high school or the Mitchell School? Today, I want to thank Dewhurst Lumber for giving us the buckets and giving us the tools and the equipment to put inside those buckets for cost. I want to thank the PTA, the PTOs and the PTAs of both Mitchell School and the Central School for helping us get the equipment to go into those buckets, and seat covers and everything that needs to go in there, a hammer, a rope, duct tape, a shower curtain. We have a toilet seat. There will be toilet paper in there, in case we are stuck in a classroom. Every teacher, every classroom received a Go Bucket today. So I want to thank Dewhurst again. I want to thank Matt Bosch and Patrick Leonard last week for getting the kids to come in from practice in the morning. At about 12 o'clock they came in, and they all went and they filled up a 230 buckets, John, was it 235? 175, and we're hearing now now more people want them today. Matter of fact, Dave Sheedy said that he said maybe we should do this at Town Hall. And I think it's important that everybody should have the Go Buckets it's for safety, and we're seeing it all around. You know, whether it's at a movie theater or at a senior center or wherever. It's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. But our teachers grabbed them in the high school gymnasium today and took them back to their classrooms. It was neat to see teachers carrying the Dewhurst Ace hardware buckets and all filled up. Patrick, I asked Patrick Leonard to stop in tonight, just to give us a preview of what's coming up, how many athletes we have, where you're located, what's going on, and if any kids want to sign up for any sports. The band was out last week. They won a couple awards. Dan Hatchfield had those kids down the at a I don't know what they call it, a band relay, a band. I feel bad because I told Dan I was so proud of them today. But I did talk to Ray Ponte. They will be here on September 10th. They are going to have their new uniforms on and their new, and they'll play for you as you come in, and they'll play out in the hallway for us, or maybe we can get them in here somehow, some way. I also, Evan Chandra, our athletic director, or our athletic trainers here with Patrick Leonard. You see how I slipped on that, Mr. Leonard? That's because he wasn't there this morning, Doctor, when I called his name out. But Evan, there was a few new things that have come out from not only the National Athletic Trainers Association, but from the MIA, Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association, that I wanted Evan just to speak about quickly, and just to make you all aware of it. Our attorneys will go over some of the things that Evan's going to talk about, but we do want to make sure that everybody understands that the next few weeks, as we are trying out for football and we're getting ready for the season, girls soccer, field hockey, volleyball, golf, they're all sports, even cross-country, that you could possibly get a concussion, you could possibly get very hurt, fall on your face on cross-country out on the road, break your nose, lose a tooth. Field hockey, we still don't wear a helmet, and we still don't have eye visor, right? For field hockey, a ball gets lifted, can, crack your bone. So, Evan and Patrick, 5 minutes, and we'll get you in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for having us here tonight. Obviously, my most exciting time of the year is when everybody comes back on campus, and there's about 300 kids outside. So this year we had 324 kids sign up, about 40 to 50 more than we had last year. And we had 50 girls come out for volleyball this year. So those numbers didn't go down, which some they hadn't anticipated, so that's great. I need to say thank you to Evan, he's done an outstanding job for the last 3-4 years here at East Bridgewater with all his concussion testing and physical updates and keeping the kids accountable for what they need to do. I couldn't do anything on that end, so we have a pretty good relationship. It's like to call it a love-hate relationship. We get along very well, and I just want to say thank you to Evan. Football just had their first scrimmage on Saturday over at Whitman Hanson. Coach Tucker said that it went well. They do have their first home scrimmage this Saturday at 10 o'clock. Our boys are going to West Bridgewater on Wednesday. Boys soccer will be West Bridgewater on Wednesday for their first scrimmage. Girls soccer had their first scrimmage Sunday. They played both a half of varsity and a half of JV. Coach was very pleased with that as well. Their second home one will be Friday against Old Rochester, where we'll have varsity and JV going at the same time. Field hockey will have their first scrimmage over in Whitman Hanson on Thursday. So we're pretty much hitting the ground running. It's not even 2 weeks in, and everybody's starting to get games going and stuff like that, so it's exciting. Like I said, my favorite time of the year. But we have been dealing with some different issues this year, and at my parents' athletic night the other night, I addressed some of it. We're dealing with these new heat policies, and obviously now that the state is dealing with Triple E, I just asked that the community be flexible on time changes, because it's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not even going to be because of us. It's just going to happen, and it might have to happen on a last-minute notice. And I'm not sure how the Triple E is going to turn out, but the heat policy has been not difficult, but I'm anticipating that it could be if it gets too hot. Yeah. So
What is the heat policy?
So I'm going to kind of turn it over to Evan a little bit, because he's definitely more educated on the medical side of the heat policy. But for us, it's going to be, if the state goes to a dawn to dusk thing, then we're going to struggle with the afternoons if we can't go past dusk with events and stuff
You're
like
gonna
that.
struggle with a lot.
Right, so that's why I just asked the community to just be flexible. We're gonna get information out as quickly as we can on our Twitter page and websites and stuff like that. So there's just gonna be some changes that are out of our hands and they're gonna be last minute, so. But Evan, if you could just kinda let us know the heat index.
I thank you for having me, by the way. I am having the athletic trainer here. I've been here for the past 4 years. This is my 5th year going in. The new heat policy is, it's MIAA mandated, and pretty much what it says is we have to use this instrument called wet bulb temperature to, align the protocol that we have in terms of the heat policy. So if it's too hot out and if the wet bulb temperature is reading a certain number, either the coaches have to change the amount of time for practices, or cancel practice altogether. So luckily we got a little cold front, so we're doing okay. And then the other policy is to have cooling zones on every venue that we have, either practice or games. So right now, the cooling zone means having a tub, a tent for shade, and then water, ice, which we're all providing. We have one on the turf, we have one on the grass fields in the back, we have one on the outfields of the baseball field, and we're gonna have one at Church Street as well. So that's all been set up, and it's all been going well so far. And the one thing that I wanted to talk about that's a little sensitive is pretty much the protocol that we have to follow in terms of if somebody's suffering from heat stroke. The golden protocol that we have to use is rectal temperature, that we have to do in terms of judging whether they have heat stroke or not. Obviously, we're gonna evaluate signs and symptoms and everything else with it, but the golden protocol is just using the rectal temperature, because in case of a heat stroke, the body temperature, the temperature is going up to 103, 104, 105, and at that point, the protocol is call 911. We get the kid into the tub with ice water, along with the temperature, and we have to make sure that their temperature goes below 102, and then we can transport them. If we fail to do that, then their temperature can spike up or down. They can go into hypothermia or hyperthermia, and at that point, their life is at risk. This doesn't happen very often, especially here in Massachusetts.
but it's something that, it's the main thing we have to do is prevention. And I wanted to disclose that to everyone, that that's the protocol that we want to follow. I talked to Liz about it. And then, the lawyer's gonna figure out if it's something that we can do, but, the example that I like to use is if someone, let's say a 12-year-old girl falls due to a heart condition, and we have to do CPR and AED. The protocol is I have to cut off the shirt to apply the pads. It's a little invasive, but at the same point, it's what we have to do to save a life. And this is a life for that situation. So that's just something that I wanted to put out there so that you guys are all aware. And then obviously any questions, concerns, you guys can ask me.
So, as you saw, Mr. Dominello was here this evening. He did get the protocol and the policy. He will review it. We certainly don't want any child not to be treated, any student athlete, or any child not to be treated on the field if it need be. When we hear rectal thermometer and rectal temperature and taking the temperature of a child that way, including myself, including Dr. Williams, when the first time we heard it, we were sort of taken back and saying, well, wait a minute, is this really what we're going to do? After speaking to Evan and thinking a little bit more and processing a little bit more, if we've got to wait a 10-minute or 15-minute for an ambulance to come in to pick up a child and then to have them do exactly what we should have done 10 minutes earlier, and to have a child not be revived, and we didn't act quick enough, we would rethink this. So we're trying to think about it. We want to be very transparent about it with our parents, and especially our athletic parents that are going to be out on the field, that are out on the field. It's hot, it's warm, that turf heats up. And so do all the fields, and we've got people out running, we've got people out, golfers out there walking 18. They can't ride, they need to walk, they're carrying their own bags. So we're going to take it one step at a time, but I did have Mr. Dominello take that back. He'll check with other school districts and check on what their policies are, and then we will send a letter home. Just to, Evan and I have talked about sending a letter home probably at the beginning of next week, just on the district's thought process on this. But I think it was important for Evan to talk about it this evening with you, because it is, if a child, whether a male child were to get kicked in the groin area and cut with a cleat, he would have to pull the shorts or the pant off. If a female athlete or female student were to go into cardiac arrest, we would have to get underneath the t-shirt or the shirt or cut the shirt to put the pads on. This is in no way doing anything out of the ordinary, trying to support or trying to save a life, or trying to get to a child in need. So we'll go carefully, we'll make sure that we're covered, and we'll make sure that the parents know. But I've been at games, we were at the Super Bowl a couple years ago where the student, the hip went out and they broke the leg, and that was terrible. The father was in the stands and the mother, and they jumped right over. Evan was out there, the other athletic trainer, the ambulances were out there. Most of the time you would see parents, Gina has her sons out there playing, I think, in 2 sports. We've got football and soccer. I'm sure that if something were to happen and we needed to bring Dr. Williams down in that situation, she would come down, or Mr. Shea for his children, or Ziggins. So that's where we're at, and I wanted to make sure that we got that out. Mr. Sylvia is aware of it. As you know, he oversees the athletics with Patrick Leonard and Evan, so they do know about it, and he'll continue to discuss it if anybody wants to have any conversation. They can certainly call my office, or Evan's, or Patrick's, or Mr. Sylvia.
Just to be clear, real quick, protocol is the same even if a student is engaged in an activity that isn't necessarily sports related. So if I were in marching band walking around carrying a 50-pound
Oh, yeah.
cooler and 95
Absolutely. Right.
degrees. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
That the protocols are all the same.
And they're in a heavy uniform, a lighter uniform than we used to have, but it's,
Yeah, or any of the related.
yeah, or anything, right?
Yeah, it's
So-
it's standard protocol, and it's, obviously I'm not out there with band often, but it's something were to happen, you can
It
always
was a
call me
hot week
down.
for band camp, that I can tell
Absolutely.
you.
And you can always call me down, and I'll be there to take care of what's needed.
So at every sporting event that we're involved in, let's say here on the property versus away, somebody is trained to administer these types of life-saving steps?
So I'm licensed and certified in athletic training, so, I am trained to do emergency care in any situation. But I can't really speak for other venues. I don't know, a lot of the venues have athletic trainers and they're also trained. But yes, it's something that I've talked extensively with my coworkers at the hospital, at Signature Healthcare, and it's something that, it's not something that I take lightly. And, if it needs to get done, then, it will have to get done. But it's something that everybody's trained to do, yes.
You were at every event that we have here.
I'm
At
all the
home,
home
correct?
events, and I travel with football. And I'm sure you've seen me with my golf cart, and if something happens, coaches call me, and I go there and I take care of whatever it is that's going on.
Did you call that a heat ball
Was that
earlier when you were talking about it?
the web bulb?
Oh, what is it
Web
called?
bulb. Web bulb.
Oh, well,
Web
a
bulb.
Wet.
web,
Wet
bulb.
bulb.
wet bulb?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what it takes, the instrument, it takes the air, the temperature, the sun rays, humidity, dew point, takes everything into account, and then it makes it gives a reading. So if it's 95 degrees out, but there's shade, it's windy, it's not humid, then the web bulb is not gonna read a high number. If it's very humid, it's sun, there's no shade, and there's no wind, then the web bulb is gonna read a certain number, where at that point, me and Mr. Leonard are gonna determine whether practice is allowed or not allowed.
And what is like the number?
The
you
number
have to
that
start to-
the practice is not allowed is 86.1 or above.
And then there's restrictions at 84.2. You can only be out there for an hour, or you need to take shoulder pads off, stuff like that. So Evan and I are meeting every day. We're going out there. Obviously, this week's been pretty nice for athletics.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, so, but yeah, we're definitely on top of it. We have had numerous conversations with our coaches. Obviously, that sets their schedules off and stuff like that, but they understand that, we're mandated now by the association that we're a part of. So they understand the changes that could happen, like I was
And it-
speaking about earlier last
Is
minute.
band subject to, although they tend to practice at night, or at least Color Guard does, which is what I know. But is band subject to these same kind of rules? I know they're not MIA or
Right, so they're not
MIAA.
affiliated with the association, so because us as a district athletic-wise, we have to follow that. Now, I'm not saying that the school doesn't have an adopted heat plan, but, I mean,
I mean, would you alert the band
Oh,
if it was a
absolutely.
day that,
Absolutely. I
It's
mean,
something that I'll have to probably step in, even though it's not sport related, but if they're out there and they're at risk, obviously I'm on site. That's something that I'll talk to, Mr. Ponte and all whatnot and go from there. Absolutely.
Especially with the turf.
Thanks, guys.
well, that's where they are. It's brutal out there. And this 324, is that just fall?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Would you
it's
say that's
exciting.
up like 50 kids?
From last year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Evan, you do a great job, and Pat, you do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank
He
you.
wasn't even at the meeting this morning.
Oh, yes,
I
the
was
superintendent, I
there.
was actually looking for you in the meeting, and
I was
you
there.
didn't come.
I was there.
Hiding with.
Yeah,
I was there. It was just a little bit.
Maybe you
behind.
stepped out for a minute.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Last but not least, I just want to do the school lunches. Lunches will be ready, everyone, on Wednesday. All schools will be serving. I just want to let you know that our school lunch prices and everything was approved through DESI. We're going to do lunches from 6:45 at the high school till 7:20,
Breakfast.
breakfast,
7:30.
till 7:30.
6:45?
6:45. We're going to let them off the bus, and we're going to let kids in school. So we're approved by DESI. We sent the times up today, or yesterday, to DESI. They've approved everything for East Bridgewater Public Schools. Snacks are at $1.25. Water we brought down from $1.50 to $1. We increased the prices of pretzels. They're a hot item. They were 75 cents, now they're $1. And I spoke this morning about our free and reduced lunches. I said it was around 20%. I think I might have even said 18%. I spoke to Deb Vaughn this afternoon. We're at 27% now. So we are moving up the ladder of free and reduced lunch, and I want parents to know that if they, regardless of where you feel you are on the chart, fill out the paperwork for free and reduced lunch. We're not going to call you. We're not going to ask you why. There's no stigma to the free and reduced lunch. Please, 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 if you need our help, fill out the form for free and reduced lunch. There is no stigma.
Is that on the web, Liz?
We can't put it up on it is up on the web?
It's on the, under the Departments tab, Food Services.
I thought it
But
was.
they can't.
The application, you have to download.
You have to download
Yes.
it. You can't.
And the sharing form is extremely important as
Yes.
well, because then the Transportation Department, athletics, and music can be notified of a child's status, and the fees can be waived for that
Say
as
that
well.
again, Joanne, I'm sorry, I missed the first couple words you said about the form.
There's a sharing form that needs to be filled out as well.
Oh,
And that way,
Like an authorization
yes,
signature to.
that's the only way that the Food Service Department can legally notify athletics, music, and transportation
Gotcha.
of the student status, because the state is very concerned about keeping these people safe and protected, and we feel the same.
Yeah, as they should be.
So, please, contact us if you need any help filling this out, but you can't just upload it and send it back to us. You gotta sign it, and it has to come back with a signature, back into Food Services, and then they'll do the share form. I would like to bring up one thing that I would like to do, whether you want it formally in the next one or take a vote on it, but I have spoken to John Shea about this. I got a couple of requests and a couple of telephone calls from parents or emails, and I believe that we are in we're in a good space. We can do this. We have some children that do both athletics and band, or athletics and drama, or in athletics and something else, and both have user fees. Band, I believe, is $200, athletics is $300, $350. I got a call from a parent, she has two children, one is, both are athletics, and one is athletics and band. We don't have one user fee. This is public education. I think everything should be free. Unfortunately, we can't be there. I would like to propose that we have one user fee for the district, regardless if it's athletics, band, drama, across the board. And we'll know if a child is in band, if the child is in athletics. John Shea and Erica and Joanne can certainly figure out what revolving accounts they belong in and where that funding goes when we have a child that does both. But to have a parent pay, $600 for two kids in public education is wrong.
Should just default to the higher of the two and be done.
I think we could bring it back to a future meeting, so that way we can have it properly written up for a proper motion.
I'll do a proper motion, but I just want to let you know that I'm going to waive the people that have already called in, because I know that that's what you would want me to do. And I did not want this parent not to let their child come to tryouts last week and not to let their child become part of the band. So I waived both of them, but I will bring it to a formal vote, but I didn't want to bring it tonight without suggesting it and letting you know. But I'm going to waive those. I know it's what you would want me to do. I know it's the right thing to do. And every child should have the opportunity to play for it.
Is that what you're gonna do, Liz, just default to the higher of the two?
Yeah, John, we spoke about it. John came up, thought that 350 would probably be where we would come in at. But we had the conversation last week just because we had those two come in very quickly, and both, both John and I, let's waive it. It's the right thing to do.
I agree, but can we include a budget impact?
Sure.
In there as well?
Well, that's, yeah.
Thumbnail sketch of what we have.
Isn't our current program set up that there's a family cap?
700.
Well, that's where the family cap is now, 700?
Just in athletics, though.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at the whole setup, but I think that we're in a better space than we were a year ago, and certainly in a better space than we were 5 years ago. So it's something to look at, and I think parents would appreciate that, and I think that the more, I feel over the last couple of years, the more that we are doing like this, the more participation we get by the community to come out and help and support in other areas. So, right.
I agree with Rob's point that, to see the impact on our budget, whatever shape that may be.
I think it was, truthfully, I want to say it was like not even 20 students, John, but 18 to 20, I think we had. That we had Patrick, and we haven't talked to Ray Ponte, because Patrick sees it right away, and Melanie Lanny was seeing it. So we were just trying to figure out, to see what students were there, and
And hopefully that number goes up too, because there'd be more families that would be inclined to say, okay, you don't have to
Right.
make a choice anymore, you can do both.
Right. And that's something that, we're taking into consideration, so. Dr. Williams?
Right.
You're next.
All right. I just have two quick things to highlight. One, the year started out last week with our new teacher welcome luncheon. So we had all our new staff here for an orientation, to talk to them a little bit about the mentoring program that we offer to them, as well as the new teacher induction series, the workshop series that we offer to them over the course of the school year. At the end of last school year, I met with all first-year teachers to ask them about how the year went, how they felt about the trainings, which trainings they felt were worthwhile, which ones maybe we should alter. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback I received from them is, although it will be a lot for them at the beginning of the year, if they had had all the trainings in the first half of the year. We had spread the trainings out over the course of the year, so they had one a month. And they said that there were many valuable things that they were learning in April and May that they thought this would have been really important if I had known this back in October. So it speaks highly to the workshops that were offered. All of the workshops were offered by members of our leadership team within the district, and also some teachers in the district. So they felt all the trainings were valuable. This year we'll alter them so that in the first part of the year we'll probably do every other week to get all the trainings through with by late fall. So that will be one change for this year. And then today, as the superintendent mentioned, our keynote speaker was Dr. Katie Novak. Katie is internationally known for her professional development around universal design for learning. In her free time, she is also a part-time assistant superintendent in the Groton Dunstable Regional School District, where they have been implementing universal design for learning for 7 years. And as she, eloquently spoke to the staff today, she brought the attention to the fact that this isn't just a one-year deal. They've been working on it for 7 years, and they're still learning and still growing. We did also purchase for every member of the staff, which I have a copy for each of you, UDL Now, which is a book authored by Katie Novak. And her keynote was really all about breaking down barriers. Students come to us with barriers of access, not being able to access the academics, and students come to us with barriers of engagement. Sometimes students are questioning the purpose for why they're learning something, or how they'll apply that to the real world. And if we can break down those barriers, we give students access to the academics, access to being more well-rounded in their learning. So, real positive, uplifting keynote. The Professional Development Academy planned for Katie, as well as we wanted one little icebreaker activity. So we did goose chase with all the staff.
It was fun.
Of course, our tech guru, Erin Fisher. And it was really just everybody breaking up into teams. It's an app you download onto your phone, and there's a list of activities for you to do as a team. You take a screenshot of the picture or a video. Mrs. Pennington was on my team. She rapped very well.
I want to know if we won.
Song for us. And your pictures are instantly uploaded onto the screen. So when everybody came back from their scavenger hunt, we had to take a picture in an official town vehicle. So there was a police car out front.
My golf cart.
The golf cart was actually used, some team pyramids. When everyone returned back to the auditorium, they got to see all the pictures of all the team members and what they came up with for their activities. So something really light, really simple, but giving teachers an idea of something that they can do with their own students. And it can have an academic base where the students are investigating or looking for things around the topics and the themes that they're studying in school. So we did that, we had the keynote, and then a wonderful lunch spread that was put on for all the staff as well. So I think a real positive start to the school year, and people really excited that really we haven't veered from what we've been working on the last couple of years. I know people always come into a new school year wondering, all right, what's the initiative this year? And we've kept steady in Universal Design for Learning, knowing it will hit all learners, regardless of whether students are struggling academically or students are going above the ceiling of what we're offering them now. We want to make sure that all students have equal access and opportunities to their education, regardless of whether it's enrichment or remediation. So that was the start.
Excuse me, Gina. When this is fully in place and has been for whatever, a reasonable period of time, what would you think, or what would you project the tangible outcome to be? Is it higher scores, happier kids, happier parents? I don't know, whatever it may be.
So the tangible should be all of the above. And really, you know, the way that Katie explains it to all of us is in an acronym form. And she talks, not an acronym, an analogy form. And she talked to us a lot about, you know, having a dinner party and, you know, you serve the casserole and how many of your dinner guests are going to want or like the casserole. As opposed to a buffet. You know, when you put a buffet out, everyone can access it. And that's from a level, like I said, of accessing academics and even being engaged. And being engaged not even on an academic level, but feeling like you've built relationships and you really know each other. You know your students know you, and there's that trust that's built. So, by implementing this, it should really affect everything, culture and climate. It should affect our data and our growth scores academically, as well as students feeling accepted, which will enhance their social emotional learning as well.
And where are we in the process?
So we're in the exploratory phase right now. We do have 24 members in the district that have gone through Tier 1 training, and that was all last year. There were 6 trainings over the course of the year. It has 3 tiers of training, so that group will now go into Tier 2, and we're going to start another group on Tier 1. And one of I met with the Universal Design for Learning team last week. The 24 of us got together to talk about what will it look like in the district this year. And we're really looking at our professional practice goals and our student learning goals so that staff members can start to create goals. And for some, it may be as simple as I will read UDL now and get a better idea of some of the principles of Universal Design for Learning. Those that have been in a Tier 1 training already, they may be looking at how will I will alter 3 lessons a week so that they're more designed under Universal Design for Learning. And the evidence will be in what Dr. Novak had said today. It will look the same when they are doing it in year 1, and then when they do it in year 2, it should look exactly the same. The difference will be is they will be able to universally design any lesson that they look at. Whereas right now, it's really deliberate in people's thoughts as to what can I do to change this lesson so that it's accessible for all. Whereas as they move through getting more acclimated to it, they'll be able to look at anything and say, this is how I can universally design it without having to put much thought behind it. It started in architectural design, where they looked at how can we give access to the physical buildings for people. And it really has now spilled over into not only private practice, but in public school as well, that we want to give people access, all people access. And so, I think From a student perspective, one of the conversations that we had with our Student Advisory Council last spring, and they were very excited to hear that there's going to be voice and choice. And that's what a lot of it is. We need to hear from our students how they learn best. And if they're not able to access the education, whether it's they don't feel engaged, or they're not comprehending, or they can't decode. We need to be able to have students have a voice in letting us know what's accessible to them and what we might need to change.
What is voice and choice?
So if a teacher has designed a lesson for students, it's really looking at what's the goal of this lesson. And if the goal of the lesson is for them to be able to comprehend a book, they might not have to read that book. They could listen to audio. So for a teacher to be able to say, these are the choices that you have today, this is the goal, how many students want to choose this as a way for them to learn? The other piece
Like the
is...
smart boards, or choice boards, I think they were.
So choice boards is, we have a goal, there's 9 different ways you can get to that goal. Choose an activity that you feel will work best for you. Some students initially will choose something that ultimately won't be the best for them. But we will then have to come back around. How did you do on it? What did you think? Was that a good choice that you made? Sometimes students will choose to work in a partner. Sometimes they'll choose to be in small groups. Sometimes they'll choose independently. And one of our professional practice goals for staff is to then go back when students get that final outcome, that grade that they get for whatever they did. Talk to them about if they did well, why did they think they did well? What choices did they make that they felt were good choices for them?
That's what I was just gonna ask, how does the kid know that they
Right,
made a good or
or if
bad
they didn't
choice?
do so well, what might not have been a good choice? Well, probably choosing my best friend to work with that on wasn't the best choice for me because I was a little distracted talking about my plans for the weekend. Or, having to read that text was really challenging. I felt like I spent more time trying to decode the words and not really comprehending. And if the goal is to comprehend, maybe audible text was the best choice that would have been for them. So.
And will kids have access to audible text if they?
Yeah, so there's so many free opportunities. Another big piece of the UDL is UDL in the cloud and how we can access a lot through free apps by giving students. And that was even for our summer reading. A lot of the summer reading was available through audible text.
I think it was an excellent presentation today.
She's pretty dynamic. She's
And
very
her
engaging.
credentials were impressive. She's written like 5 or 6 books.
Yes, 6.
Yeah.
And raising 4 children. Yes, she does put a lot of us to
Young
shame.
children, they're relatively young. Well, thank you.
Ellen, I didn't get to this as I saw you pull it out, the appointments of the teachers in FY19.
I can read the list.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure, if
I
you
don't
want
think
to.
you have to. Do you?
I like to welcome new people.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to read it?
I'll read it.
Go
I
ahead.
hear about this later.
We have Amanda Chipman, Access Classroom Teacher. That was at Central School, new position due to numbers. Taylor Almeida, Grade 2 Teacher at the Central School. Catherine LaRossi, Kindergarten Teacher at the Central School. Molly King, 6th grade teacher. We have Jeffrey Sylvia, he's a new principal. Matthew Bosch, assistant principal, both at the high school. Jordan Goodwin, 7th and 8th grade English teacher. Kelly DeMollis, biology teacher at the high school.
These
Sarah
are all
Moore-
high school teachers.
Yep. Sarah Moore, guidance counselor. Heather Kidney, special education teacher. Brian Tice, special education teacher. Michael Brophy, business teacher. Colleen Morehouse, English teacher. Taryn Lagardo, special education teacher. Mitch Daly, IEP coordinator. Patricia Locke, special education teacher. And we have some positions that are to be determined that aren't filled yet. Technology teacher, ELL teacher, special education teacher, and a .5 ELL teacher, and, a .3 FTE preschool teacher. And these positions, 99% of them were to replace people who left. So they're not like new positions or anything. There's
No.
a couple new.
Nice job, Ellen.
Welcome to the new teachers. It was nice to see them in attendance today. I got to meet one of them.
That's good.
Let's see. So at this time, I would take a motion to approve the minutes of the June 20th, 2019 school committee meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Gordon. Second by Trista, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining, Joanne.
Action is required on the minutes from the August 7th, 2019 school committee workshop.
So moved.
Moved by Gordon,
Second.
second by Rob, all in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Oh, I'm sorry, actually, I'm supposed to, this is a new thing that I learned, I'm supposed to say what the vote was, so that was, Trista, Gordon, myself, and Rob all approved the first and second motions, and Teresa abstained from both of them. I'm supposed to do that, I learned at the workshop. See, I'm in my 5.5 years, and I learned something new. I take a motion at this time to approve accounts payable warrant 5V dated July 31st, 2019, 7SV dated August 14th, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Rob, all in favor? Aye. And that was unanimous. And I take a motion to approve payroll warrant 53PS dated June 26th, 2019, 2PS dated July 10th, 2019, 4PS dated July 24th, 2019, 6PS dated August 7th, 2019, and last but not least, 8PS dated August 21st, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
And that was unanimous. At this time, I take a motion to waive the three reading process and vote on the first reading of the recommended changes to the school committee policy file JLCD, administering medicines to students.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by Gordon. All in favor? Aye. And that was unanimous. And I take a motion to approve the recommended changes to the school committee policy file JLCD, administering medicines to students.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa. Second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that was unanimous. Take a motion to approve the payment of the school crossing guard's salary from the transportation fees revolving account 26330-762-5131 for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gordon, second by Teresa. All in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous. And I would take a motion to accept the very generous donation of $1,000 from Mr. and Mrs. West to the Gridiron Club.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gordon, second by
Can I
Teresa.
just ask what the Gridiron Club is?
It's football.
Football. So it was moved by Gordon.
Like it's their booster club.
Okay.
Gridiron supports only football.
Teresa, you seconded that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Second by Teresa. All in favor?
Aye.
And that was unanimous. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. West. We appreciate your generous donation.
That's nice.
And I would take a motion on the request of Tessa Ryan to take a personal day on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. And she's making this request to attend an out-of-state family obligation. Superintendent recommends this approval.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
And that was unanimous. Thank you. And I would like to let everyone know, I hope you have a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. And I will take a motion to adjourn. Oh, Superintendent has something.
Tomorrow night, we have seventh grade here at the junior, senior high school, 6 to 8.
That's for orientation.
Central School starts at 5 PM to 7 PM tomorrow. Mitchell School's in
4:45?
Mitchell School is 4:45 to 6:30, 6:45. 6. All schools are going to be out. We're going to have lots of parents, lots of kids walking around the buildings. Wednesday morning, buses are going to be on time, dropping off, picking up.
You hope.
And when I say on time, meaning that they're going to take off on time, please get there an extra 15 minutes before and just wait on the first day of school. Get to the bus stop 15 minutes prior to your bus stop time. They will continue to gauge over the first couple of days, and it'll get closer to that time. And they'll tell us where we're at. Stay slow, be safe, We're gonna open up on time. Lunches will be prepared on Wednesday. Athletics have started. The band has started. All of our classrooms are full. We're waiting, we have a technology teacher here at the high school. Talked to Miss Byrne today. We've got all of her instructional assistants ready to go. Mitchell School is full. We've got everybody filled up on the human resources side.
ELL.
We have one and an ELL teacher, but I asked Dr. Williams why you were talking, Ellen, and sorry about that, but she did say that she's meeting with somebody. So we'll hopefully get that position filled. We're ready to go. We're ready to open, so welcome to the 219, 220 school year.
Exciting.
Quick
Someone-
question.
Yes.
everybody.
Central School, open house, that's K through 2, right? Does not include pre-K.
That's K
Right.
through 2, but then kindergarten will meet with their parents.
Yeah,
right?
so tomorrow
The
night will be
individual
open
meetings.
house for K to 2, and then kindergarten will have one-on-one meetings. Preschool, whether you're AM or PM, they'll be during the day.
It's going to be an exciting school year. I wish everyone the best of luck. Anything else? Nothing? At this time, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Gordon,
Discussion, sorry.
what do you need, Gordon?
Now that we're on a Tuesday schedule,
Yes,
our next meeting is when?
September 10th.
September 10th.
September 10th. Okay.
Thank you, Gordon.
I knew that. I thought the public wanted to know that. September 10th.
So who moved it?
I did.
Teresa moved,
Second.
second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck on Wednesday, everybody.